Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, where we dive into the exciting world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unexpected finds hiding in plain sight. If you're a coin collector, a history buff, or just someone who loves discovering the extraordinary in the ordinary, you're in for a real treat today, because today, we're talking about one of the most iconic and patriotic coins ever minted in the United States, the Washington quarter dollar, specially struck to commemorate the bicentennial of American independence. That's right, we're going back to 1776, well, sort of. The coin says 1776 to 1976, but its real story is more fascinating than you might think. Now, at first glance, this quarter might look like just another pocket change piece, something you'd use at a vending machine without a second thought. But don't be fooled, some of these quarters are extremely valuable, and a few rare varieties could turn you into an overnight coin celebrity. So grab a seat, maybe pull out that old jar of change from the back of your closet, and let's take a deep dive into what makes this coin so special, how to spot the ultra-rare versions, and why collectors are shelling out big money for certain ones. And stay with me until the end, because the final value will absolutely blow your mind. Let's rewind to 1976. The United States was celebrating 200 years of independence. To mark this historic moment, the U.S. Mint released a special bicentennial series for the quarter, half dollar, and dollar coins. Instead of the usual design, these coins got a limited-time makeover. For the Washington quarter, the obverse still featured George Washington, but the reverse? That's where the magic happened. Instead of the familiar eagle, the reverse design features a colonial drummer boy, standing proud, tapping the rhythm of liberty. In the background, a torch of victory glows. The coin is stamped with the dual date, 1776 to 1976, a tribute to America's birth and its enduring spirit. This was not just a coin, it was a symbol of celebration, history, and national pride. Now here's where things get really exciting for collectors. Not all 1776 to 1976 Washington quarters are created equal. Millions were minted, yes, but not all of them are worth a fortune. The key lies in a few critical details. First, the metal. Most of the bicentennial quarters you'll find are made from a standard copper-nickel clad. But a special limited number were struck in 40% silver, yes, actual silver. These silver versions were made for collectors and sold in special sets. If you have one of those, you're already ahead of the game, but we're not stopping there. What truly drives up the value of this coin are rare minting errors and the coin's grade, how well it has been preserved. Some rare examples of the 1776 to 1976 Washington quarter feature double die errors, where the letters or images appear slightly doubled because of a mistake during the minting process. These are extremely collectible. Others might have off-center strikes, where the design isn't perfectly aligned, or even missing letters or details. Some coins have a satin finish, others were struck on the wrong planchet altogether. Imagine a quarter design stamped on a nickel or dime blank. These errors are few and far between, but when they appear, they send shockwaves through the coin community. Then there's condition. A coin graded MS 67 or higher, meaning it's in nearly flawless, mint state condition, is rare and highly valuable. Combine that with an error or a silver strike. Now you're talking about a unicorn in the world of coin collecting. And here's the thing, many people have no idea they're sitting on one of these rare treasures. Some of these valuable bicentennial quarters are just sitting in drawers, coffee tins, or old collections, forgotten and overlooked, but collectors know better. They know the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the satisfaction of uncovering a piece of history that most people would miss. That's what makes this hobby so incredible, not just the value, but the story, the legacy, and the excitement of the find. So here's the moment you've been waiting for. How much could one of these rare 1776 to 1976 Washington quarter dollars actually be worth if you found the right combination of rarity, error, and pristine condition? Hold on to your seats, because the answer is a jaw-dropping $110,000. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that millions of people held in their hands during the bicentennial celebration could now be worth as much as a brand new luxury car or a down payment on a house. All because of a rare error and perfect preservation. So, what are you waiting for? Go check your change, dig through your collections, ask your grandparents. They might just have a small fortune tucked away in an old coin album. Today's video is for you. We're taking a close look at one of the most overlooked coins in American history. It's not flashy, it doesn't have a special commemorative design, and millions of people passed it through their hands without ever realizing what they were holding. We're talking about the 1974 Washington quarter. Now, you might be thinking, 1974? That's not even a bicentennial coin, it's just another old quarter, right? Wrong, because what looks like an ordinary coin could actually be a highly sought-after rarity. And if you stick with me until the end, you'll find out just how valuable one of these coins can be. Let's just say, it's more than enough to change your life. Let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932, originally introduced to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. By 1974, the design hadn't changed much. The obverse still featured the familiar portrait of Washington, facing left, with the word "Liberty" above his head and the phrase, "In God We Trust," to the left. On the reverse, you'd see the proud American eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches underneath, a classic image that symbolized both strength and peace. But here's where things get interesting. 1974 was just 1 year before the big bicentennial redesign. So the mint was already preparing new dies, new metals, and new production processes. And sometimes, during these transitions, mistakes happen. And those mistakes? That's where the real treasure lies. Some 1974 Washington quarters were struck with minting errors so rare that they've become legends in the numismatic world. One of the most famous is the double die obverse, where parts of the lettering appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the die. If you look closely at "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" and see what looks like a ghost image or shadowing, you might have something special. Another known rarity is the off-metal strike. That means the coin was mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, like a penny or a foreign coin. Imagine a quarter design pressed into a copper penny planchet, lighter, reddish in color, and instantly recognizable to experts. These are not coins you find every day. In fact, you might only come across one in a lifetime. Then there are the off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and struck-through errors, where foreign materials like grease or debris got in the way during minting. These mistakes create strange textures or missing details, which can make a coin dramatically different from the standard version. And when something stands out in the world of coins, that's where collectors start lining up. But rarity alone isn't enough. The condition of the coin is just as important. Most quarters from 1974 were used and abused, pocket change for decades, tossed into drawers, scraped across vending machines. But a few were preserved. Maybe they were part of a mint set, or maybe someone saved them without ever knowing why. These coins, when graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, can reach mint state grades like MS 65 or higher. And once you add a rare error into the mix, that's when the value starts skyrocketing. What makes this especially exciting is that these coins are still out there. They haven't all been found. You could walk into a coin shop, check your change jar, or dig through an inherited collection and stumble upon one of these gems. That's the thrill of coin collecting. It's part history, part mystery, and part treasure hunt. And for collectors, there's something uniquely satisfying about holding a coin that was never supposed to exist. Something the mint didn't plan, that slipped through the cracks, and somehow survived. It's like owning a secret part of history. And when it's combined with high condition and scarcity, that's when the numbers really start to get exciting. So here's what you've been waiting for. If you find the right 1974 Washington quarter, one struck in error, preserved in near-perfect condition, and verified by the experts, its value can reach a jaw-dropping $83,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. That quarter you almost spent on a soda? It could be worth more than a luxury car, a college degree, or a down payment on a house. All thanks to a little twist of history, a rare mistake, and the power of preservation. So don't overlook those coins sitting in your change cup. Give them a closer look. You never know which one might be hiding a fortune, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most surprising treasures in American currency, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe for more rare coin stories, and hit the bell so you never miss a chance to learn what your change might really be worth. Today, we're going to take a closer look at a quarter that might be hiding in your change jar right now, but it could actually be worth far more than you'd ever imagine. This isn't a silver coin. It's not part of a commemorative series. It doesn't have flashy colors or special packaging. But it might be one of the most surprising treasures sitting quietly in your pocket, your drawer, or your old family coin collection. That we're talking about the 1971 Washington quarter dollar. That's right, just a plain old quarter from the early 70s. Or is it? On the surface, this coin looks like every other Washington quarter minted from the mid-60s to the late 90s. It's got George Washington's profile on the front, facing left, the word Liberty proudly displayed across the top, and "In God We Trust" stamped to the left of his jawline. Flip it over, and there's the familiar eagle design, wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows, surrounded by olive branches. It looks normal. It feels normal. But for certain versions of this coin, nothing is normal about the value. You see, the 1971 Washington quarter was minted at a time when the U.S. Mint had recently transitioned away from using silver in circulating quarters. By this time, quarters were being made with a copper-nickel-clad composition, which gave them a slightly different weight and sound. But during this transition and in the rush of high-volume minting, mistakes were made. And those mistakes became money, big money. For collectors, some of the rarest 1971 quarters were struck on the wrong planchet. That means instead of being minted on a quarter-sized blank, some were accidentally pressed onto blanks meant for nickels, dimes, or even foreign coins. These are known as off-metal errors, and they are incredibly rare. One look at the size, weight, or even the color of the coin could reveal something is seriously off, and very valuable. Other 1971 quarters were struck off-center, meaning the design was shifted during the strike, creating an uneven image where parts of the lettering or the eagle might be missing. These misstruck coins are instantly recognizable and have a unique, almost artistic look that collectors love. There are also known double die errors on 1971 quarters. This happens when the die imprints the coin's design twice in slightly different positions, causing letters or numbers to appear doubled. If you see shadowed or blurry letters in Liberty or In God We Trust, or a doubled mint mark, you may be holding something far more special than pocket change. But perhaps the most fascinating thing about the 1971 quarter is how often it's overlooked. Because it doesn't commemorate an event or contain silver, most people don't give it a second thought. Yet, for collectors who know what to look for, it's one of the most exciting and underrated coins out there. And don't forget about condition. A 1971 quarter that's been through vending machines and change jars for 50 years isn't going to fetch much. But a coin that's been carefully preserved, maybe stored in a coin flip or discovered in an untouched mint set, can reach a grade like MS 66 or higher. Combine that with an error or unusual strike, and now you're looking at something seriously valuable. What makes this coin even more thrilling is the element of surprise. Most people don't expect a coin from 1971 to be worth anything beyond 25 cents. That's what makes it so satisfying when collectors discover a rare variation or mint error. It's like finding a lost piece of history that everyone else ignored. Now imagine showing your friends that plain little quarter they just tossed on the table and revealing that it could be worth more than a brand new car. Their jaws would hit the floor, and yes, there have been confirmed auction sales and private deals for some of the rarest 1971 quarters in near-perfect condition with unique minting errors. So how much are we really talking about here? Hold on to your seats, because if you come across one of these rare 1971 Washington quarters, especially one with an error and in top condition, it could be worth an astonishing $86,000. That's right. A coin that looks like every other quarter in your change could be hiding a value that most people wouldn't even believe. All it takes is a trained eye, a bit of patience, and a willingness to look a little closer. So go check your collection. Dig through that old jar in the kitchen. Ask your parents or grandparents if they've got any coins from the early 70s tucked away. Because you never know, your next coin find could be the discovery of a lifetime. Today's video might just change the way you look at your spare change forever, because we're diving deep into a coin that seems ordinary, until you know what to look for. We're talking about the 1974 Washington quarter, specifically the one with the D mint mark, struck at the Denver Mint. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter from your pocket or coin jar. But this particular year and minting location hold a fascinating secret that could turn that tiny 25-cent coin into something truly extraordinary. Let's take a step back in time. The year was 1974. Gas was cheap, disco was booming, and millions of Washington quarters were pouring out of the Denver Mint. These coins were meant for circulation, everyday use, and they saw heavy handling from day one. Most people never thought twice about them. Why would they? They didn't have silver. They weren't commemorative. They weren't part of any special issue. But some of them, just a tiny handful, came out very differently. The 1974 D quarter features the classic Washington design that had already been in place for decades. On the obverse side, you see George Washington's profile, the word Liberty stamped across the top, and, "In God We Trust," to the left of his face. The year, 1974, appears just below his neckline, and just next to it, that tiny D mint mark, representing the Denver Mint. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted by the majestic eagle, wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows, surrounded by olive branches. A symbol of peace, strength, and tradition. But what really gets collectors excited isn't just the design, it's the errors, the rarity, and the condition. Some 1974 D quarters were struck with minting mistakes so rare, they've become legendary in the numismatic world. One of the most sought after is the double die obverse, where the design is imprinted twice in slightly different positions. It creates a doubling effect, especially visible in the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." If you spot one of these coins, don't spend it. You may have something incredibly valuable. Then there's the off-metal strike, a rare error where a quarter is accidentally minted on a planchet meant for another coin, like a penny or even a foreign coin. This changes the coin's color, weight, and texture. These mistakes are extremely rare, but they do exist, and when paired with that D mint mark from 1974, collectors go absolutely wild. And don't forget about off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and struck-through grease errors. These types of mistakes happen when the coin is not properly aligned, or when foreign material interferes with the strike. The result is a misshapen, unique, and often eerie-looking coin that breaks the mold, literally. But the icing on the cake? The condition. Most of the 1974 D quarters were used in everyday commerce. They've been scratched, dropped, tossed into soda machines, and jingled around in pockets for half a century. But a few lucky survivors were never circulated. They were set aside, maybe by accident, maybe by instinct. Today, those coins remain crisp, unmarked, and nearly perfect. When a rare mint error is combined with a high grade, something like MS-66 or MS-67, the value of the coin doesn't just go up, it explodes. And here's what makes this all so exciting for collectors like you and me. This coin doesn't come from a limited edition proof set. It doesn't come with special packaging or holograms. It's not sitting behind glass at a museum. It's the kind of coin you could easily miss, the kind that might be lying unnoticed in a shoebox, a coin jar, or a forgotten drawer. That's the thrill of this hobby. It's not just about money, it's about discovery. It's about the possibility that something remarkable is hiding in plain sight, just waiting to be found by someone who knows what to look for. So what happens when all the right factors come together? A 1974 D Washington quarter with a major mint error, preserved in nearly flawless condition, and authenticated by a top grading company? That's when a simple piece of change becomes a game changer. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The highest known values for these rare error coins have reached an incredible $86,000. Yes, you heard that right. A coin you might have spent on a gumball decades ago could now be worth more than a luxury SUV. All because of a small mint mark, a rare error, and the magic of preservation. So go check your collection. Pull out those old quarter rolls. Flip through that forgotten coin folder from your childhood. Because that plain-looking 1974 D quarter might just be the key to your next big find. Today, we're going to shine a spotlight on a coin that most people have seen, used, and spent without ever realizing what they were holding. It's time to talk about the 1979 Washington quarter. Now, on the surface, this coin might not seem all that exciting. It wasn't a silver year. It wasn't a commemorative issue. It didn't come with flashy designs or low mintage numbers. But here's the thing, it's exactly that kind of ordinary appearance that makes this coin such an exciting find for collectors, because beneath that familiar face of George Washington lies a world of surprises, minting mistakes, rare errors, and condition-dependent treasures that could be sitting right under your nose. Let's break it down. The Washington quarter has been a constant presence in American pockets since 1932. By 1979, the design was classic and unchanged. On the obverse, we've got the proud profile of George Washington, the word "Liberty" above his head, and "In God We Trust" to the left. The year, 1979, sits right below his chin. Flip it over, and you'll see the American bald eagle in all its glory, wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath. It's the image of strength, peace, and patriotism. But what makes the 1979 quarter truly exciting is what went wrong during the minting process. Because, as every seasoned collector knows, mistakes can be worth a fortune. Let's start with one of the most fascinating error types, off-metal strikes. Some 1979 quarters were mistakenly struck on planchets intended for other coins, like pennies or foreign denominations. These errors usually result in a coin that's either the wrong color, the wrong weight, or both. Imagine holding a quarter that looks bronze, feels too light, and sounds different when dropped. That's not just an oddity, it's a collector's dream. Next, we have double die errors. This happens when the coin's design is struck more than once but slightly out of alignment. The result? Letters and numbers, especially in "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," that appear shadowed, blurred, or thickened. It's subtle, but if you know what to look for, it stands out like a beacon. And these errors? They're incredibly valuable to collectors. There are also off-center strikes, where the coin design doesn't line up with the blank planchet. You might see part of the image missing entirely, or the edge of the coin might look lopsided. These coins are instantly recognizable, and the more dramatic the misalignment, the more desirable they become. Let's not forget clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is simply missing due to a blank cutting error, or struck-through errors, where debris got between the die and the planchet, leaving strange, one-of-a-kind marks on the coin. But here's the kicker. Most people have never even looked twice at their 1979 quarters. They're everywhere. They look normal. They're so common, they've become invisible. And that's exactly why they can hide in plain sight. You could have one in a coin jar. In your glove box. Maybe tucked away in your childhood coin collection. But here's what separates an average 1979 quarter from a truly valuable one: condition. Coins that were never circulated, never scratched, and never handled by thousands of hands. Those coins, when professionally graded at mint state 66 or higher, become highly desirable. Now, add a rare minting error to that pristine condition, and suddenly you're looking at a whole new level of value. This is why coin collecting is so exciting. It's not just about age. It's not just about metal content. It's about the story, the journey the coin took, or didn't take. It's about what went wrong at the mint, what went right in preservation, and the passion of those who hunt for these treasures. So if you're a collector, a history lover, or just someone with an eye for the unusual, start paying attention to your quarters, especially those from 1979. You never know what kind of hidden gem you might find in your spare change. And now for the part you've all been waiting for. If you come across a 1979 Washington quarter with a rare mint error, especially an off-metal strike, double die, or major off-center, and it's in nearly perfect condition, professionally graded and authenticated, it could be worth as much as $78,000. That's right. A coin that once bought you a pack of gum could now buy you a luxury vehicle, or be the centerpiece of a world-class collection. So check your pockets. Revisit those coin rolls. Ask your parents if they've got any old jars of change. Because the 1979 quarter you've seen 1,000 times might just be the one that makes all the difference. That if you enjoyed this video and want to hear more about rare finds, valuable coins, and the incredible stories they hold, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap that bell icon so you never miss the next discovery. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy hunting. And may your next coin be the rarest of them all.